Hello, Team Gerwell, and welcome to Flippin' in Fifth with me, Mrs. G. This is our first night of doing our video at home by ourselves, so I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to begin by pausing the video and making sure that you draw a replica of your notes. Remember, that means copy on the page, your next open page. If you've forgotten what it looks like, you can turn to that inside cover where we glued that. So go ahead and pause it now and make sure your lines and your words are all on your page. Great, so now we're going to fill in that today is topic 1, lessons 2 and 3. And today's learning target is, I will be able to name decimals in the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. We have a couple of vocabulary words for today. Remember, you can pause it so you get everything all written down on that left-hand column of your notes page. The first word is decimal. Now, a decimal is a part of a whole, a fraction written to the right of a decimal point. Tenths is the same as the fraction 1/10. Hundredths is the same as the fraction written 1/100ths. And thousandths is the same as the fraction 1/1000ths. So how can you learn decimal place value? Don't worry, I've got a song for that. I know you guys just loved the song I told you yesterday. So we're going to review it. This is what we learned yesterday. This doesn't have anything to do with decimals yet. Ready? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. Keep going. Billions, 10 billions, 100 billions. That is place value. Awesome. Well, now there's another verse to help us remember decimals. Ready? Decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, that is place value. Now we could go in and learn hundred thousandths and millionths, but you don't really need to know that right now. But if you want to know, now you do. So what do the decimal places have in common? What do these have in common? Oh, looks like I've circled it for you already. All of the decimal places end with a THS on the end. Now, it's really important that when you say it, you almost over-exaggerate it, because tens is definitely not the same thing as tenths. So say it after me. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. Good job. You get the picture. Now, also yesterday we learned that when we are talking about our whole numbers, every time we go to the left, the value gets bigger. Now with decimals, every time we go to the right, the value gets smaller. So remember yesterday we talked about how if you look in your whole number column, every time you move one to the left, it's times how many? 10 times 10, that's right. However, with decimals, every time you move to the right, you do the opposite because it's getting smaller. And what operation do we use when we're getting something smaller? We divide by 10. So how can you write decimals as fractions? Well, it's pretty easy because in the tenths, written as a fraction would be 1/10. Hundredths would be 1/100ths. Thousandths would be 1/1000ths, and so on and so on and so on. So what is the standard form for this number? Well, right now we have a decimal. It's right up here. So imagine that's there. So the standard form would be 9/10, 0.9. But what is the fraction for this number? Well, it's 9 in the what column? Tenths column. So the answer is 9/10. Now let's flip it. How would you write 8/100ths as a decimal? Well, we'd put the 8 in the hundredths column, But can we just stop there? Because if we did 0.8, that wouldn't be 8/100ths, would it? No, so we have to add the 0 to hold the place. So if you wanted to write 8/100ths as a decimal, it would be 0.08 or 8/100ths. So let's add to it. How would you write 3 and 8/100ths as a decimal? Well, we know that 3 is going to be our whole number, and that belongs in the ones column because that's 3 ones. There's nothing in the tenths column, and our 8 goes in the hundredths column. 3 and 8/100ths. Now you try. Here are our practice problems. You can go ahead and stop and pause on the screen and go ahead and write everything down in your notebook and then try to solve them and then come back and play it. Just so you know, number 6 is 7.45. That's what that says. 7.45 for problem number 6. I know it's kind of off your screen today. Okay, get to work. Pause it and get working hard. Thanks. Okay, we're coming back in 3, 2, 1. And here are your answers. So the first, number 1, says write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. So that's obviously a mixed number there because it's 3 and 3/100ths. So you would write that by doing 3.03. You need that 0 there because there's nothing in the tenths column, and that's a placeholder. So number 2, 6/10ths. Oh, that one's easy. 0.6. Number 3, 7/1000ths. 0.007. Why do we have 2 zeros there? Because we put the 7 in the thousandths column, but there isn't anything in the tenths or hundredths column. So now it says write each decimal as a fraction or mixed number. So we're just flipping it. So it says 0.07 is the same as 7/100ths. 3.09 is the same as 3 and 9/100ths. And 7.45, which you can barely see off the bottom of your screen, the answer would be 7 and 45/100ths. So why would it be 45? Well, because look, there is a number, a 4, in the tens place. So it's 7 and 45/100ths. Before you go, make sure you've checked your work and write down how many you got correct. Remember, be honest. This is not for a grade. I also want you to honestly fill out the self-reflection. Could you teach a friend, or are you still a little confused? Sometimes those zeros can be pretty confusing. And then number 3, fill in the space for any questions you still have. Are you still confused about the zeros, when to put one in and when not to? Well, this is a great question to write down that I can answer for you tomorrow. Remember, you must write at least one question in this space. Okay, guys. That's the end of your first night's homework. I am so happy that you joined me and tried your very best. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye.